All right, what's going on, everybody? I hope you're staying up to date on all of your reading. This week, and maybe you've already got started, we are covering the Synoptic Gospels, or at least beginning our coverage of the Synoptic Gospels. That is Matthew, Mark, and Luke. Now, you will notice as you're reading them, especially if you go into Matthew after reading, or go into Mark after reading Matthew, that there's a lot of similarities, and that's because there are, and that's one of the reasons they're called the Synoptic Gospels, is because they are very similar in the content they contain. And that's led a lot of scholars to conclude, or at least hypothesize, that that's because maybe these Gospels share a similar source. It used to be popular, probably about 20 years ago, to assert that there was a source out there that we don't have called Q. And that was maybe a document that contained the sayings of Jesus, and that Matthew, Mark, and Luke probably used this source in creating their own biographies or their own gospels of Jesus Christ. In fact, Luke kind of partially admits this, basically saying this. I'm going to read the first few chapters, or excuse me, the first few verses of Luke in chapter 1. It says, "Inasmuch as many have taken in hand to set in order a narrative of those things which have been fulfilled among us, just as those who were from the beginning were eyewitnesses and ministers of the word delivered them to us. It seemed good to me also, having a perfect understanding of all things from the very first, to write to you an orderly account." So what Luke admits up front is, I know I'm not the only one that has written about this and these events, but I have talked to a lot of eyewitnesses. I have looked at what other people have written, and I have tried to set an orderly account for you. Now, some have suggested that what Luke has in mind here is he has a set of documents in Luke and Acts, because they were both written by him, a set of documents that Paul would use to help people understand, and to help himself explain the origins of this new faith called the Way, or what we would call Christianity. That being said, the question we want to ask is, why are there really four Gospels? Why are there three Synoptic Gospels, Matthew, Mark, and Luke, and a fourth Gospel, John? Why do we have all of these different Gospels? And the simple answer is this. This gives us a fuller picture of the person of Jesus Christ. If we were to come up on a car accident, the police go to investigate that car accident, they're not just going to talk to one witness. They're going to talk to as many people as they can to get a full understanding of what took place at that accident. So there may be a guy who just came up on the scene, and so they'll talk to that guy. There may be a guy who was in front of the accident, saw it in his rearview mirror, and they'll talk to him and see what his perspective was on the accident. There may be a guy who was behind the accident, and they talk to them. And from that, they can gain, or kind of recreate, a very full picture of what actually transpired. And this is kind of what you have happening in the Gospels. And what they also do in doing that is each of them present a different aspect of the character and the ministry and the life of Jesus Christ. And they present him in a different way. In addition to that, they are writing to different audiences. For example, Mark is probably writing to a Gentile, mostly Greek, or an audience steeped in Greek culture. And he focuses mostly on what Jesus did. You don't see a lot of long passages of Jesus just talking like you do in Matthew. Matthew, on the other hand, is writing to a mostly Jewish audience. As a result, he quotes the Old Testament over 60 times. In addition to that, Luke, or I guess in contrast to that, Luke, who is writing probably to a more Roman audience, only quotes the Old Testament 30 times. And a lot of times when he does quote it, he gives some sort of brief explanation about it. So they have different audiences. They're giving you a slightly different picture of Jesus Christ. Mark shows Jesus as the servant, the man on the move, the one who has come to do some things, right? And it's a very fast-paced gospel. You could read through the gospel in probably, less than, an hour, maybe an hour and a half. Matthew, on the other hand, presents Jesus as the Messiah King promised from the Old Testament. Luke presents Jesus as the Son of Man, as this general, broad appeal to humanity as a whole. And there are little nuances in the Gospels that kind of show you that, and show how, show Jesus being presented in a way, and how it would appeal more to that particular audience. Now, John is a completely different thing altogether. He is writing to show you that Jesus is the Son of God, and it's probably written many years later after these Gospels are written. So that kind of gives you a little bit of background on the Synoptic Gospels, why they're called the Synoptic Gospels. And for a fuller explanation of this, make sure you go back into this week's module and click on the PowerPoint notes and the Green Book, and that'll give you a fuller explanation of the Synoptic Gospels and how Jesus is presented in each of those Gospels, and give you an idea of who those Gospels were written to better help us understand that. All right, good luck.